Okay, today we're going to be talking about the stock market. But before we do, I don't wear power dresses. T-shirt and shorts, way better. But the background's still a bit of a cliche. How about we fix that? Much better. Okay, so now we've addressed some of the stereotypes. I want to give you one more. Who do you think is better at investing, men or women? Okay, if you take individuals, you all know that one individual is obviously going to be better than another individual. But as a whole, the research points very strongly that women are better investors than men. Now, I'll leave some of the links to the studies down below in the description bar, but why is this so? Why are women better at investing than men? Okay, so overall, women make less trades than men. In one study that looked at hundreds of different portfolios, it showed that women traded less than men. There was less buying and selling on a woman's portfolio than there was in a men's portfolio. They tended to hold for a lot longer. Now, if you're constantly buying and selling all of the time, you're very likely to miss out on those sudden surges that you just don't expect. There has been so many times where I've held companies that haven't really been doing that much, then all of a sudden they'll surge out of nowhere. And you don't know at the time what's going on, you're just happily sitting there and waiting and seeing what happens. Now, you usually might find out later, so obviously some people knew what was going on. But if you're constantly buying and selling, you're going to miss those surges. So less trades actually does equal more profits. Okay, so women are more likely to stick with the larger blue chip stocks than to go for smaller, riskier stocks. They just invest in companies that they know a little bit more about. Perhaps they know them because they use their products or services, or perhaps they just understand the company better. So it has been shown in the research that women's portfolios hold a lot more blue chip stocks than men's portfolios overall. And history shows that sticking with those larger companies like Apple or Microsoft or any of the big banks or Coca-Cola or any of those sort of blue chip companies, that you're way more likely to do better than if you try and take a risk on smaller companies. Because women tend to have less confidence in their own abilities, what they do to compensate that is that they'll research more. They'll go in and actually look at what the company earnings are, the return on equity. They'll actually go in and look at that because they don't trust themselves to just pick a company. Whereas men tend to be overconfident and often they'll jump into a stock without doing as much research. It's also shown in the research that men are much more likely to jump on like a hot tip, or if one of their friends says, I've just made this much money on this company, and so men are more likely to just jump in without doing any research, whereas women tend to sit back and think about it and actually go in and have a look and do the research. And it's shown the more research you do and the more cautious you are, the better that your portfolio tends to do over time. The stock market is always going to have ups and downs. There's going to be market crashes and there's going to be market surges. Like history tells us that is always going to happen. But interestingly, what seems to happen when there is a market crash is that men panic sell way more than women. Women are more willing to hold on and wait out for the market to recover, whereas men seem to want to get out quickly. They don't want to lose any more money, so they'll just cut their losses. And it's actually shown that by doing so, you'll actually miss the surge again. So instead of panic selling, it's actually much more beneficial for you just to ignore the market and wait for it to rise again. Or if you want to be super smart, you can actually take that time to, when the price falls, you can actually buy more stock of the companies that you're interested in because the price is now cheaper. So what I like to say is that the company's gone on sale and that's a good time to snap it up. Now, you've probably heard this saying, it's said quite a lot. The saying is, it's not timing the market, but time in the market that will make you a successful investor. And that's what the research is showing. Women tend to be more conservative. They don't make as many risky trades. They don't buy and sell as often. They tend to stick with the blue chip stocks rather than the smaller companies. And even when there's a market crash, they don't tend to panic sell as much as men do. So now that's what the research is saying. I want to address something else. Here's what I want you to do. First and foremost, before you do anything else, I want you to back yourself. I want you to be your own biggest cheerleader. The reason I believe that there's not as many women in the stock market as men is simply because they don't think it's their game. When I was starting out, all of the books that I read were written by men. There were hardly any women investors when I was starting out. It's much better now. There are fund managers that are women who actually are doing better than the benchmark of their peers. There's so many more women that are investing and doing so well. There's women investing clubs. But back when I was starting, the only money books for women were all about budgeting and saving money. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's important. But there was very few women who were into investing. And it's so crazy because it's been proven that women are better at investing. You don't have to be rich or work on Wall Street or wear a suit to the office. Anybody can invest. Anybody. Doesn't matter your gender, your age, your race, as long as you've got the money to invest, anybody can invest. Like, the stereotype is that it's a man's game. Like, if you go and look at any media portrayal of investing, it's always men in suits, looking at computer screens, or just go to a stock photo website and do a search on investing, and it's always just the stereotypical man in the suit on Wall Street investing. And that's not the reality. You can learn to invest just like you can learn to do anything. It's actually not that complicated. I think sometimes the media and other things, they try and make it more complicated. They try and throw out words like naked call or talk about warrants or short selling or all of these things that you don't need to know about. All you need to do is find a great company and hold it over the long term, which is what women tend to do, which is why their portfolios tend to outperform men. So back yourself and believe in yourself, because women are just better at investing. Science.
Yes, science!
I hope you've enjoyed this video. I will see you again next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.